What is good, fight fans? This is Ashley's Corner. Shout out to the Lions Den boxing community. Now, last night when I watched this video, it's a picture. This picture I got from an interview. I don't even remember. I think it was Boxing Social, but I will put a link in the description box below of both interviews that I'm talking about. I just recently seen this interview. I think it came out 2-3 days ago. But I'm gonna talk about it and the other interview as well. But what I came to the conclusion that Shawn Porter needs Spence. He needs Errol Spence. I'm gonna break it down. All right, because Errol Spence Jr. brung out the best in Shawn Porter that Shawn Porter has ever seen. Just like I said in my last video, Shawn Porter said with this interview that it was Boxing Social. He said on Boxing Social, and I quote, "We need to fight him again, not just to try to get back our belts, but just because that was such a exciting and great night for the world." When Shawn was asked if versus Errol Spence was that his best performance, Shawn smiled hard and said, "Honestly, I think it was my best performance. I felt that it needed to be in order for me to win the fight." Seeing how everyone responded to the fight itself, but also to me, and so on, and so forth, is what he said. It's really hard to feel like I lost that fight. When you get so much praise in a defeat, it's like the defeat really doesn't matter. The funny thing is, I feel like I can be better than what I was that fight. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I said all of this shit in my last video. And videos and other videos leading up to the fight, I had this notion, like I was knocking on the, I was basically tipping to the notion. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. And I've been saying in my last video, you know what I'm saying, that this man honestly feels that, Errol Spence brought out the best in him, and he wants to continue to fight him just to see how good he is. Like that's his muse or whatever you call it. I know it's a name for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I watched this video before I made my last video yesterday morning, and I didn't, because he's saying all of this shit that I thought about saying in my video, because that's what I see. But I said all of that. I said all of that yesterday morning before I even seen this interview. Fuck what you heard. I seen it. I already knew it. You know what I'm saying? I already knew what time it was. But then he goes on to say, seeing what I did that night and knowing with a few small adjustments, I can be better than I was that fight. I'm looking forward to that challenge. That right is proving my point. The more that boy, you done found the motherfucker that can give you that work, and you just want. It's like, yo, I'm no offense. I'm not trying to throw no shade, because I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? The fight already looked like, you know what I'm saying, somebody being bullied, and he's, trying to take up for himself. Shawn looked like the guy, like Errol Spence was bullying him all through high school, and they finally fought, and he just tried to wail off at him the whole time, and now he got dropped and shit. It's like, that's like somebody that you see get a real bad ass whooping, and they keep coming back like, I'm still standing. Yeah, after you got dropped. Like, that's what this shit seems like. Like, I seen this type shit play out. It's not 100% like that, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? The way he's acting right now, yo, just is funny to me. But that also tells me that, it tells me that you found the fighter you've been looking for to bring the best out of you. It's like Shawn's looking for a beautiful death, and he found it in Errol Spence, the truth, and Earl the Spence. It's like you found it in him. You know what I'm saying? Fucking beautiful death. That's funny, but I mean, that's the only way I can really think about, describing what I'm thinking about, what I'm saying. But it's like Shawn Porter's looking for he was looking for the worthy one his entire career, and he found it in Errol Spence Jr. Shawn has been dropped by Adrian Broner, and he lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Kell Brook, but he only said these things about Errol Spence Jr. in his fight. Why? What about the fighters that deserve a rematch with Shawn? What about Ugas? Ugas cut Shawn with a very, very legal punch. A punch, not a headbutt. And in my opinion, Shawn, you know what I'm saying? Ugas, in my opinion, And then you got Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia deserves a rematch with Shawn also. Okay, Shawn said he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao because he's great. And I want to see how great I am. Further proving my point that this man just wants, I understand this is how boxers are supposed to be. I don't want you to get me misconfused. This is how boxers are supposed to be. You're supposed to want to fight the best out there to see how good you are. You're supposed to strive for that person that brings the best out of you. And that's what Shawn Porter is doing. I just don't respect the way he's going about it just because it's not him. You've never gone about getting fights like this. You've never gone about talking all this trash and all that other shit. Like I still believe you gave Keith Thurman more respect before, during, and after y'all fight than you did Errol Spence. And just being honest, Errol Spence was just being honest about the things he said to you. Keith Thurman was really trying to get under your skin. Errol Spence was just being honest. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just don't... It's cool that you talking all this shit. We're going to make videos about it. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? But should you be yourself in doing this? I'd rather you just be yourself and just say what you have to say. Because the next interview that I seen on here, he was ranting. And the shit he was ranting was bullshit. It was all lies. So... I mean, just be yourself. And I heard he Twittered something, man, and Twitter fingers now. He got Twitter fingers and they retarded fingers. His Twitter fingers are retarded. So, I mean, I just don't understand why everybody is acting so out of character just for Errol Spence Jr. Kell Brook did not call Shawn Porter a bunch of chocolate brownies and shit. Everybody acts out of character for Errol Spence Jr. And it's just ridiculous. But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I'm making a video. But the bottom line, Shawn needs Errol the True Spence Jr. to bring the best out of Shawn Porter, okay? Being pro for 13, 14 years Shawn Porter's been pro after fighting everyone that's anyone at 147 pounds to fight, after holding different titles in the weight class, and now being married. He's 32 years old. He's one of the hosts on Fox. Shawn Porter wants to see how good he is, and he wants the world to see it and know it before he leaves this sport for good. And I'm not saying that he about to retire or he on his last step or nothing like that. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying he's been in the sport for a long time. He's already honing what he's going to do next by being one of the hosts on Fox. I'm just saying, after everyone he has fought, none of those fights opened people's eyes to Shawn's talent until he fought and lost to Errol Spence Jr. So for a lot of reasons, he needs that rematch. Now on to the second part of the video. I seen a video of Shawn Porter, man, and he was saying that he's the #1 welterweight. You see his face in this picture, y'all? I just wanted him to take that fucking white ass extra spit from the side of his mouth when he was yelling and shit. He's talking about, man, I've run 200s, 400s, and 800s. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's hard, bruh. It's running, dog. And he was just sitting there talking about Man, you talking about me turning Earl Spence. Man, my dad showed me that when I was 6. Okay, man, I've been running since I was 6. You talking about running around. I know what a 200, 400, and 600, 800. I know what all that is. I ran track. So, like shit. But what's so difficult about you running around the track? If you ask me, turning somebody in a fight is much more difficult. Just stick to what you know. Stop talking about real fighters and real champions do things that's hard. Running around the track is not that difficult, bruh. Especially if you're already an athlete, Shawn. I don't know why you got all of this pimped up energy right now outside around the locals, because that's where the interview was. But you really need to chill. And first thing and foremost, take that spit from both corners of your mouth. Number one. That's that it's hard face that I had to capture when he was talking about running around the track twice. It's not that hard, brother. Running around the track twice, that is an 800. Everything else you said under that is not even that far to run. Like, what are you saying? A 200 is halfway around the track, bruh. Like, I mean, I don't. Sorry, like, but that shit ain't that fucking difficult. If you know how to run, you know how to run. It don't take talent to run. But anyway, he was speaking and he said out of Thurman, Pacquiao, Errol Spence, and himself, Shawn Porter. What Shawn Porter said is, I am the best welterweight in the entire world. Move our records and you look at the champions and the former world champions and you compare them. What do they have? This is what Shawn Porter is saying, word for word. Well, not word for word. Basically, this is what he said. Thurman got power. Spence have power. I got power. Peck got speed. You can say Thurman and Spence got speed, but guess what? I got speed. Pacquiao got quickness. I got quickness. I got the one thing these guys don't got. Heart. Not heart of a lion, not heart of a dog, the heart of a real professional boxing champion. That's what no one else in my division has more than me. Now, it's bogus, Shawn. Bogus. Shawn, first of all, you don't have no damn power, okay? Last person you KO'd was Eric Bone 5 years ago, okay? Before that, it was Paulie, all right? Paulie. And Andrew Berto doesn't even fucking count, okay? All them damn headbutts and elbows you threw during that fight, it don't count. You headbutt and elbowed him to death. It doesn't count. And before all of that, you dropped Phil LaGreco 7 years ago, okay? And that was with a legal punch. So, bro, you don't got no power, all right? And everyone's speed is around the same besides Manny Pacquiao. He's the only one that got the edge when it comes to the speed of the top welterweights, all right? And he's the fastest out the four anyway that he's talking about. And then he said the one thing these guys don't have, and then turned around and said that this is the one thing that people don't have more than him. Which one is it? Because if people got it, then the point they're trying to make, Shawn. And heart, if you want to talk about heart, all of you got heart besides Keith Thurman. Yeah, all of you got the heart of a professional boxing champion besides Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's bad for the sport. He's the only one that don't have the heart as a professional boxing champion, but everybody else got that. Shawn said he's better than Errol Spence, okay, which is false. Shawn said that he's the best welterweight in the world, which is also false. And how come if Bud is the top 3, Bud, and Pac is the top 3, then how come you ain't say his name? And Spence isn't in the top 3. How come you ain't say Bud's name? How come Bud wasn't part of that? How come Bud wasn't part of the I got what these fighters don't have speech or rant? How come? Why wasn't he part of it, yo? You know, in my opinion, Shawn Porter is just pushing for another pay-per-view fight. You want your next fight to be pay-per-view to prove Errol Spence wrong. You're not a pay-per-view fighter, Shawn. You did an okay job selling the fight, but the fight would have already... Regardless if you would have tried to sell the fight or not, Shawn, the fight still would have sold a lot of views. People still would have watched it just because it's Errol Spence Jr., because he's the name, and he's fighting Showtime Shawn Porter for a unification match. The fight was already sold. The fight was already sold before you even opened your mouth Shawn Porter. You didn't sell the fight, and you're not a pay-per-view fighter, so just stop it, bruh. After Errol Spence is the one who gave you this pay-per-view fight. Like, you should be thanking this man. And I understand you are thanking him by saying, I see through it. Because you're saying that this man is number one. You just don't want to tell the world it. But you're saying it in the interview over and over again that you need this man to bring out the best in you. So you got to credit him something. He's better than you. You want to prove to yourself that you're better than him. But what's proven is already done, dog. You got dropped in the fight where he didn't even use Blu-ray at all in his whole training camp, bruh. His punches wasn't even laced as they was his other fights. Shawn act like he does. Shawn just oblivious. Bruh, you know he didn't work with Blu-ray. He could have worked with somebody else who could have did his own thing, but he didn't work with Blu-ray, bruh. You can't be the #1 welterweight when getting dropped by one punch by Adrian Broner. One punch dropped you, and it wasn't even his strong hand. Shawn Porter, one punch of Errol Spence dropped you. You lost 3 times. Every time you step up to fight a big top name person, you lose. The only person you beat was Danny, and Danny was moving up. Danny moved up from 140. He's not even a natural welterweight. He moved up from 140. That's the only person you beat. Everybody else that you stepped in the ring with that is in a top welterweight, you lost. The only other 2 people you got to fight is Pacquiao and Crawford. You shouldn't be talking about nobody but them 2 people. Until you ready to give rematches to the people that deserve rematches that lost to you, Shawn, stop asking for a rematch and ask to fight Terrence Crawford or Pacquiao. Them the only 2 people that's at the top of the welterweight chain that you haven't fought. They're the only 2. But I don't see you. The only person that I see you revenging a loss to is Keith Thurman. And that man ain't going to fight you. He's not going to fight you. He ain't going to fight you, bruh. So you might as well move on. Errol Spence beat you, bruh. It's over. Since you're talking all this shit, Spence should fucking ignore you. You're not giving him no praise. You're not respecting that man. You're not. And he dropped you. Give him the respect. You know you love it. You want to do it again. Because you know he brought out the best in you. And you want to see more bring out. You need that man, yo. Respect him. Earl shouldn't give you shit if you don't respect him. #1 and #2, he shouldn't give you shit if you ain't giving rematches to Ugas or Danny Garcia. How about that? Your ass should try to fight the only other 2 people in the welterweight division you didn't fight, which is Pacquiao and Bud. Always like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.